Baruch Dayan Ha'emet. We praise the Judge of Truth. If you have a cell phone or a pager, please turn it off or set it to stun. We begin with Psalm 121. Esai einai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai. Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha. Al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha. Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakaka. V'yarech balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzeitcha uvoecha, me'ata v'ad olam. I lift mine eyes unto the mountains. From whence cometh my help? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. The Lord is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death is taken our dearly departed and our beloved Rose Joseph. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Rose's love that united many, many people in life, and which death cannot sever. For her companionship, which was shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind, which brought joy and brought happiness, and which now are a precious remembrance. For all of these and more we give our thanks to God. It is a time of sadness. It is a time of grief, and we listen again to the voice of our sacred scriptures from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Let us recite the 23rd Psalm in English, please. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It is a privilege to call forward Rose's niece, Robin, to speak of her dear aunt, and then Alan to speak of his dear aunt. Please.
Well, I bet everybody's a little surprised we're here. We thought Aunt Rosie was going to live forever. She was like a fixture in our family. She had kind of a rough life. She shared clothes with her sisters and shoes with her sisters. When she worked as a punch press for years, and actually that's part of the reasons why she lost feeling in her hands over the years. She really couldn't use her hands. She lived in the Owl's Nest for about over 30 years, and everybody there loved her and knew her and took care of her. And that's where she met Nate. Nate was a guy that she dated for years, and I think she had a lot of good years with Nate. They used to do road trips, different places, and things like that to visit his grandkids. There was a short time that my dad also lived at the Owl's Nest, and Aunt Rosie also took care of him there. She would cook him dinners and stuff like that. And that's part of the reason why I decided to help out when Alan needed it. Alan and Uncle Jack were basically the ones that took care of Aunt Rosie. And when Uncle Jack got sick, Aunt Rosie got sick at the same time, and Alan obviously could not take care of both of them, so I kind of stepped up and helped out with Aunt Rosie, and that was 6 years ago. Aunt Rosie had a signature look. You know, she had her wig, and we all wondered what it was like underneath there. She had the black eyebrows and the black eyeliner, the rosy cheeks, and the signature lipstick. And then also she would wear earrings a lot of times. And I can't tell you how many times when I took Aunt Rosie out, somebody always complimented her on her lipstick. It was, I am not exaggerating, okay? It was doctors, it was nurses, it was people at the grocery store. Everybody always commented on how good she looked and what wonderful lipstick she had. And you know what? She took good care of herself, too. She watched what she ate. She knew she had, high blood pressure, so she watched the sodium on everything. She ate, like, oatmeal and toast and orange juice every day for breakfast. So she really took good care of herself. She was also, tried to be very independent, and she was very careful with her money. And for somebody that's not so good with their money, I should take some lessons from Aunt Rosie because she watched every penny that she spent. She was a very proud, strong woman, and she did not want help from anyone, and she also did not want people to think she was old. I mean, it took me forever to get her to use the cane or the walker because, and this is in her 90s, because she didn't want anybody to think she was old. She didn't want to be old, and she didn't want to be helpless. And nothing stopped her. The weather didn't stop her. We would go to bingo every week, no matter what. And there was one time when we went to bingo, I pull up there, and we're the only ones in the parking lot. Because the parking lot is a sheet of ice, and nobody's there but us, because it was canceled.
Did you win? Oh, it's canceled. Finally, you could win.
And so so nothing stopped her she was always game to go anywhere. She fought getting old every step of the way. And we can all remember her as that fixture in our family that was always there. Thank you.
So I'm not as old as some of my cousins.
Right.
But so I'm like second generation of Aunt Rosie's nieces and nephews. Before, I took on some of the responsibility, Paul used to take care of Aunt Rosie before me. He's a good guy, even though he's got a tough exterior, big heart. Growing up in Willowick, we'd have road trips to see our cousins in the Heights. It was Aunt Ruthie, Aunt Molly, Aunt Esther, and the three, Aunt Annie, Aunt Rosie, and Uncle Freddie, who lived on Superior. For some reason, I don't know how, but Aunt Rosie had barbecue chips one time when I came to visit her, and I said, I never had barbecue chips before. And I said, gosh, these are delicious. I just loved them. I think I ate the whole bag. She must have got the hint, because every time after that, when I went to visit her on Superior, she had a bag of barbecue chips for me. After that, when that threesome broke up, she moved in with us in Willowick. She's like my second mom. Growing up as a kid without a brother, just a sister, I was into sports, and my mother was busy sometimes, but when she wasn't around, Aunt Rosie would pitch to me and play ball with me. She never said no. She was always there for us. She was part of an exclusive club, the 4-H club, not the one you guys know. This one's pretty exclusive. Humor, happiness, honesty, humility. That's our Aunt Rose. She was a stalwart. She never complained. Big heart. Always said, I loved you. Always said thank you. She appreciated everything she had. She appreciated her family. She appreciated the holidays. She appreciated just being with us. And we loved her. We appreciated being with her. And we'll miss her very much. Rest in peace, dear Aunt Rose.
And to those words, those prayers, let us say amen. Some of the most profound memories we have of a loved one have to do with the smells of the house or the clothing or the hair, and then the taste of the food. And you walk places and you can still have that smell in your nostrils. You still have that taste. So we gather today. We gather this morning. We are a saddened throng. We gather for God's comfort and His blessings this morning. There's a void in our lives because your dear Rose, Joseph, your dear Aunt Rosie, where she stood, now she stands no more. And at the same time, we express gratitude for a life that she was almost 97 years old. It's a sadness, a profound sadness. However, it is not a tragedy. Even through the difficulties in her life, she, as Alan said, she was a happy woman. She was honest. She was humble. Happiness. What was the other H? Humility. Humility is a very fine attribute. She was in relatively good health, and she died where she wanted to die. She wanted to die at home. She loved photography and taking pictures. At family gatherings especially, and she would hand those pictures out to you. She loved to play bingo, as we heard. And she played weekly, and she would call and she would say, I almost won, I almost won. And then about a year ago, she actually did win. It was a big pot. It was like $900. Only downside, she had to divide it up 3 ways. But it's still good. She won big. As Pearl and Alan, Michael, and Cheryl, representing the family Tuesday night as we sat and talked, remembered her photography and remembered her bingo, and this actually is just a bit more poignant because of what you said about her hands and how she lost her ability to feel because of her work. There's a connection between her hands and hands generally and this week's Torah portion. We start the book of Shemot this week, the very first Torah portion in Exodus. And here we have strong, determined, stubborn. I'm sure Rosie was stubborn, but in a good way. women who, with their hands, nurtured others and saved lives and did tremendous things with their hands. A few examples come to mind. One is at the very beginning of this Torah portion where the Pharaoh says to the Hebrew midwives, Shifra and Puah, he issues an edict. The Pharaoh says, when you help a Hebrew woman give birth, if you see it is a boy, kill it. If you see it as a girl, let it live. And you know what the Hebrew midwives did? In the first act of civil disobedience in the whole Torah, they disregarded the Pharaoh's edict. They saved those boys. A second example of life-saving actions with hands. The mother of Moses, her name was Yocheved, and his older sister, whose name was Miriam. They took the boy when he was about 3 months old. They put him into a basket, and they placed him in the Nile River, hoping that he would be saved sometime. And they cast him in the river with their hands. And his older sister Miriam watched him and followed that basket. And the Pharaoh's daughter, our ancestors gave her the name Batya, which means daughter of God. But the Pharaoh's daughter, they brought this little boy in and raised him to be a leader. So these were tough, determined, stubborn, loving, hard-working women. And with their hands, they nurtured others and saved lives. And so much can be said of these women and connecting it to your dear Rose. She was a very independent person. Rose and all her siblings were born here in Cleveland. She was born on February 22nd, 1920, so it's just a month from her 97th birthday. Her parents, Harry and Ida, both of blessed memory. She was the fourth of 10 children. Molly of blessed memory, Anne of blessed memory, Frank of blessed memory, Rosie of blessed memory, Frida of blessed memory. She is survived by her sister Esther, her sister Pearl, her sister Ruthie, and then Max of blessed memory and Freddie of blessed memory. Her Hebrew name was Sarah Rachel, and which Sarah is Sarah, Abraham's wife, and Rachel, Jacob's wife, the matriarchs of our people. Sarah means a princess, and Rachel means a little lamb. And I saw pictures of her. She had beautiful skin, as her nephew Alan said. Beautiful skin. And you were right about the lipstick. A little lamb is cute. And she looked very good. She was proud of that, and she worked on it. Alan said that her nickname was Suki. So how do you get Suki? So Surah Rachel, if you pronounce it together, Surah Rachel. It almost sounds like Suk. Maybe you get Suki that way. Pearl said she never went to high school because we kids worked to help the family. We worked so we could buy clothes and shoes. 4 of us slept in one bed. Do you remember? Of course you remember. Who were the 4 that slept in that one bed with you? You remember?
Me and Pearl
Yes?
and Esther and Frida.
There you go. 4 in one bed. And there are some kids here probably complaining, oh, the bed's not comfortable enough. She never married. However, she was an aunt to 20 nieces and nephews, we counted, and she loved you all. And you go through the generations, there are many, many great nieces and nephews, and probably great-greats as well. She liked to be young. She didn't want to be old. Later in life, her boyfriend Nate, they went on road trips and day trips. She was set in her ways, in a lot of ways. And that's okay. She had a great sense of humor and she didn't complain. And she was content with her lot in life. She was content. On Monday at lunchtime, she breathed her last. And so now there is no pain or deterioration. There's just rest and wholeness and peace. Her soul is returning to God. Judaism teaches that in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7, we learn the dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. Her soul returns to God. God will take care of her soul. The body we place in the ground respectfully, and over the course of time, we all decompose. The soul returns to God. And she will be reunited in a spiritual realm called Olam Haba, the world to come. The world to come is not a place, it's a time. It's an eternal time. She'll be together with her dear family who's passed away and the ancestors of our people. The family has allowed us to send along a few well-prayed from prayer books. It is a mitzvah to escort the body of your loved one to its final resting place, and also holy books of our tradition. We very much appreciate the opportunity to send along those prayer books with her. You have many, many memories of your Aunt Rosie, of your dear Suki, and we give thanks to God for this gift of long life. As you think of her, you should consider taking some pictures and getting them printed out. You should play some bingo. I don't know how many people play bingo anymore, but maybe a little bingo. Be eager to help others, and do these things in her loving memory. We conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru yimru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, may God cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and let us say, Amen. Please rise for the El Maleh Rachamim prayer. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of our dear Rose Joseph. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utohorim, Kezohar Harakia Mazirim, Et Nishmat Suro Rachel Bat Hershel, Shalach al Olama, Baal Harachamim, Yastireha B'Seter Knafav Le'olamim, Vayitzror B'Tzror HaChaim, Et Nishmata Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Rose Joseph. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. In a moment, we will go in procession to Mount Olive Cemetery, and then we will recite Kaddish at the grave. We will then return to Temple Israel Ner Tamid, Pearl and Allen's congregation, and we will gather for the mourner's meal there. If you are not able to go with us to the cemetery, we will be at Temple Israel Ner Tamid in about an hour and 15 minutes from now. We'll light the Shiva candle, and we'll gather, and we'll eat and console one another. The family is asking if you care to make donations in loving memory of Rose. They suggest to our Temple Israel Ner Tamid Tzedakah Fund in her loving memory. Thank you very much. And we will recite Kaddish for her for the next month, every Friday night, and on Wednesdays with the Hebrew school kids who need repetitions with the Kaddish. It's good to say Kaddish. And on Sunday mornings, we'll say Kaddish for her with the religious school students. And now we'll call forward the gentleman to give us directions to go in procession to the cemetery.